What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is a CETUS and SUI upgrade on the recent hack. So if you're new to the channel, welcome, subscribe, and if you're returning, absolutely smash the living daylights out of the like button, and let's go and dive into this critical issue. So we're going to try and break down what's been happening and what the response is and where we are today, considering the price of CETUS has continued to further decline, down by 16% the past 24 hours, and the market cap is now officially under $100 million. So we need to see what's happening, who's to blame, and where recoveries are possible. So the CETUS exploit was very impactful, and it was one of the most sophisticated attacks in recent times. And of course, there has been a lot of back and forth, a lot of criticisms, and of course, we'll go through this public detail, addressing the community's most pressing questions, considering this hack has absolutely been on people's money. Protocols have been drained on the SUI network, on the CETUS protocol, utilizing a sophisticated hack. And we're going to look at the both sides, the positive side and the negative side on what's going on right now. Of course, we all have to make decisions. This is our hard-earned money. And of course, I will give you what I think at the end of the video. So smash a like and let's continue with this kind of developing situation. Now, this particular hack isn't just about CETUS, in my opinion. It's about SUI ecosystem liquidity and how it's obviously impacted the projects and how they will be compensated. Many liquidity pools were drained, and some sort of a payback mechanism has to be put in place, in my opinion. Now, the SUI official statement, or CETUS rather's official statement today is we are, of course, going to be addressing this in a quick Q&A format, and I will go through this with you and how that really impacts us. They will continue to share further updates. Of course, the team came under heavy criticisms, and I'm sure they're working flat out. Of course, something like this is not easy. Recent memory leads me back to the way Bybit reacted. But the underlying factor is this is not only a SUI problem, and I think the stablecoin issuers have a large part of the blame to shoulder here. Now, Mr. Labs and SUI came out. Of course, they put the blame squarely on CETUS's shoulders, and rightly so. I agree with that. However, the community has rallied behind them, really, more than any other hack I've ever seen, which at the time of SUI, at the time of the hack taking place, the SUI price actually rallied by 2.2%. Now, Circle and Tether, the two USDC and US Tether issuers, came under tremendous criticisms. Why? 9-figure sums are going missing randomly, and they took forever to freeze these USDT, USDC, and of course, protocols like Lofi dropped 76%, Hippo 80%. If you woke up that morning when the attack happened, your portfolio might have showed you like $10 million, $20 million. Next minute, it would have been minus whatever. Now, how it happened, the spoof attack on the Oracle tricks, of course, a security expert here, Deddy Levied, the CEO of Cybers, broke it down. He said apparently they've used a spoof token to mess with the protocol's curve and reserve data. Is that the problem only to SUI? But SUI is a new chain, right? Now, somebody did point out in my previous video, there was an outage of SUI last year. Solana had many outages. Ethereum, Solana, all of the top protocols have been hacked. So we've really got to take a balanced view here. Now, Oracle manipulation attack is very sophisticated, of course, and the estimated 200 million in assets that were drained, the attack is still sitting on the 164 million in a SUI wallet, which is frozen, and bridged a $61 million over to USDC over Ethereum, which was incredibly fast. Now, of course, then that led to CETUS halting their smart contracts, and the community is not buying it. Circle's backlash and Tether's usual drama. And of course, Zach XBT went on to do some investigations here. And I found this quite interesting, actually, in terms of how this whole thing works out. Of course, in crypto, we always learn. But the gateway to the vehicle of choice was Circle. Once again, it got dragged online. On-chain detectives, Zach XBT pointed out the firm's sluggish response to the previous hacks like Bybit, where it took over hours, 5 hours in some cases, just to actually do anything about it. And Tether wasn't exactly faster. And of course, we've sent real-time alerts for stuff like this before, added Lavid, but most of these issuers do nothing basically until days later. Delay is subsequently absolutely more horrific for investors. The protocol, it brings down the whole house, right? Crypto in a way is a house of cards, but community's reaction on SUI has been somewhat holding steady until today. Today, I've seen a lot of dissent and people are questioning as to what the compensation is going to be. And I have a thesis. I have built my own theory. And here's what I recommend. In my opinion, there are solutions to every problem. Of course, with a chart like this, with price crashing like this, is it an opportunity or is it avoid at all cost? Now, it's hard to see where CETUS goes from here, but I don't doubt for a moment CETUS will disappear. This TVL was closer to the $400 million, $500 million mark, and right now it sits at a measly 35 million. So here's the DXB suggestion, right? So first of all, of course, after they came out, the community sentiment, one tweet noted, and again, you've got to watch these things with an interest just to garner and gauge what the community sentiment is right there. And I found this particular tweet very, very compelling because, of course, if you don't give back 100% of the use of funds, people will leave SUI and go to other great dexes. Now, what are we talking about? Are we talking about Turbos Finance? What are we talking about? We know Bluefin is also going to start doing Spot, which is live now. But you still need CETUS is a multi-chain SUI adaptive move DEX in effect, right? So CETUS needs to return all funds. Now, how do they get these funds? How do they sort it out? Of course, we point out the problem, but we also have to have a solution. So this is what I'm thinking. DXB's, there is no easy fix, but DXB's take is this, all right? SUI Foundation or CETUS obtains a loan from the SUI Foundation, a contract loan. A loan should be around the same as the hack, all right? So they can pay back these liquidity pools and inject $100 million because, of course, they've recovered some of the money into CETUS protocol on a buy back and burn announcement. Now, that could really be a way to salvage CETUS because I think that will allow it to quickly put 5 to 10x onto CETUS and get real hype behind it. Now, the other model, of course, is CETUS buyback model. If the hacker refuses to return, no chance of any hacker returning anything here. CETUS could be used as a repayment and a buyback burn scheme, of course, and that has to be structured in a long-term fee repayments to the SUI Foundation. All right. Now, they're also working with a security company called Inca Digital. Now, a global law enforcement which always traces stolen funds. Now, of course, so far they've recovered 60 million. Of course, the other 162 million is of the kind of, at the moment, it's frozen, right? It's frozen. So they have to unfreeze that and repatriate that money. Now, my final thoughts are this, right? We are looking at the CETUS community update and the latest update on the ongoing work, okay? So here are the Q&As and, of course, what the current status of the use of funds are. Are they frozen or recoverable? Okay, the affected funds consist of two parts of being within SUI and the others being bridged out to the Ethereum network via USDC. The assets within SUI addresses are currently frozen through efforts of validators, and we are pursuing two possible successful outcomes. Successful on-chain vote by the community to authorize recovery process for the frozen fund. And point number two, reaching out to the White Hat agreement on identifying the hacker for legal action. Just get them back, man. As for the portion sitting outside of the ecosystem, the team is proactively discussing with relevant parties working towards a solution. The updates will come specifically that addresses the measures that will be taken. When will the protocol resume operations? The data recovery on CETUS protocol is actively in progress, and it's expected for several, will take several tens of hours, basically. In the meantime, aggregator service is already back online, supporting swaps through partners like Phantom and Binance Alpha. The aggregator service does not have a definite dependency on liquidity pools on CETUS, remains routing through other liquidity sources across SUI. CLLM pools are confirmed not to be affected through the incident, and again, they will resume operations when accurate position data is fully restored. When a data recovery, once the data recovery is completed, users are unaffected with the pools and should be able to view their current positions data through the wallets. The process of full data recovery is extremely intense or immense and complex, and the team has contributed the utmost priority to this task, and we are dedicating all our manpower resources to ensure recovery is performed ASAP. We deeply appreciate your understanding, patience from every single one of you. Why hasn't there been any more detailed official announcement? We fully understand that the desire for transparency and timely communication, the reasons have not been released detail, or we have not received a detailed official announcement, yet it's because we're actively discussing within the SUI Foundation and other members to finalize details of recovery. Depending on the shareholders' involvement, and communication also requires to align relevant parties prior to issuance. We want to ensure that the announcement, once the announcement is made, it reflects clear, coordinated, and actionable plan, not made prematurely. And that's why I'm not taking a position either way, negative or positive right now, because it is a developing situation. Any kind of negative front running while the team is working out, flat out, and I'm sure they're super, super stressed. It doesn't make, it's not about sensationalizing things. When it's like this, you're talking about people's money, and any additional irresponsible FUD, from content creators, from people on X, whatever, it's just pure stupidity, right? There is an active investigation, and I'm sure law enforcement is involved as well. So they've got to be careful in what they say, and I do support them in that. The team isn't working. There's no update. Are these true? Absolutely not. Our team has been working relentlessly. Here's where our main energy has gone so far: maximizing fund recovery, of course, pushing parallel directions. Full recovery requires an ecosystem-wide collaboration, okay, and a proof of stake vote. Repairing pool data and preparing for system restoration. That's what they've been doing. All right. Is CETUS committed to returning user funds? Yes, we're fully committed, doing everything we can to pursue the maximum possible recovery on affected user liquidity funds. CETUS will mobilize all available financial resources and protocols to restore as much as we can. And then, of course, final note here, we sincerely ask for your continued understanding and patience. The entire CETUS core team, including many, have not slept in days, fully committed in resolving the issue and most responsible and effective way. We understand that we may not be able to answer every question immediately, but, of course, we apologize, blah, 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 blah. And ladies and gents, that's where we are. So you look at the situation right now, in my opinion, there is a solution that will eventually be found. Now, if we look at the SUI ecosystem, of course, SUI has come down a little bit over the weekend, of course, and the entire SUI ecosystem is of still great value. I believe in SUI long term. The protocol has dropped. The layer one has dropped by 4%. The number one DEX is now 16% under. Walrus, which had its liquidity pools impacted, is absolutely tanking. Of course, some protocols like Artify and P-Stake Finance are doing okay. But overall, right, here's my conclusion. Overall, this is one of the best ecosystem, one of the best technologies there's going to be in crypto. And every single project does go through its ups and downs, okay? Is this a moment where I'm rushing to break my neck to buy the dip? Absolutely not. And that is because we have bought this at a 4 cents, 5 cents, 6, 8, anything under 10 cents, we've loaded super heavy on this, right? But if anybody, if this then further dips down below 10 cents, I think there could be an argument. Of course, we are still looking at, where do you go? Again, all the other dexes on SUI, in the SUI ecosystem, are not as big and rely on CETUS liquidity pools. Now, some of you might be like, oh yeah, I'm going to get Turbo's finance. And it's true. There are other protocols in the overall ecosystem that will make a lot of sense, right? If you look at 7 days, was down 22%. D-Book also is part of the liquidity pools providers, is down heavy. CETUS is probably 36%. That's probably the most. 25% on low fee. And then 17% of Navi protocols. SUI Lend is actually faring slightly better at 8%. The SUI, SUI NS or named services is down 23%. That was one of the ones that was impacted. You had Sudeng, Hippo, 21% with slight recovery there. It was actually a lot worse. 31% for Blub. And of course, Blue Move is actually done extremely well in this time because it did not have its liquidity pool drain. And Turbo's finance right now sitting at $1 million market cap and $3 million market cap with a $1 million volume is the only other way. But it's not been easy, guys. Well, having said that, I still do believe this is the best technology in crypto, of course, along with Kaspa in terms of layer ones. And I will continue to hold my SUI projects. Again, do I de-risk? Let's see where the chips fall. But in my opinion, times like this do present opportunities. Don't be an idiot. Don't follow the herd. Do exactly what the opposite of the market is, right? SUI is not going to zero. Walrus is not going to zero. CETUS protocol, well, they will restore their services, but definitely it's not going to go to zero. And times like this require brave souls. So with that information, I'll let you decide what you want to do. I've been your host. Smash a like. It's very informative, and I think it's a good video if you are thinking about the SUI ecosystem, and especially if you want to know my opinion on the latest happenings. Have a wonderful weekend. More videos to come. Smash a like, guys.